Maria had always been someone who faced life's challenges with quiet determination. She lived in a small town where opportunities were scarce, and dreams often remained just that, dreams. Her days started early and ended late, filled with an endless cycle of responsibilities. At 24, she was already carrying more burdens than most people twice her age. The diner where she worked was tucked away on the outskirts of town, a place frequented by truck drivers, locals looking for a quick bite, and the occasional traveler passing through. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid enough to keep her going, even if barely. Every morning, Maria would wake up before sunrise, her body aching from the previous day's work. Pregnancy added another layer of difficulty to her routine. Her feet swelled after standing for hours, her back ached constantly, and fatigue clung to her like a shadow. Yet she never let it show. To the customers at the diner, she was the cheerful waitress who greeted them warmly, refilled their coffee cups without being asked, and remembered their usual orders. They didn't see the sacrifices she made every day, nor did they know about the loneliness that gnawed at her when she returned home each night to an empty apartment. Her uniform no longer fit properly. She had to adjust it to make room for her growing belly. Sometimes she caught glimpses of herself in the mirror behind the counter and felt a pang of sadness. This wasn't how she imagined her life would turn out. She used to dream of finishing college, finding a stable job, and building a family surrounded by love and support. But life had other plans. Now, here she was, juggling long shifts, financial struggles, and the overwhelming responsibility of preparing for motherhood all on her own. Despite everything, Maria refused to give up. She worked tirelessly, determined to provide for the baby growing inside her. Every tip she earned went into a jar labeled Baby Fund, sitting proudly on her kitchen counter. On tough days, when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her, she would look at that jar and remind herself why she kept pushing forward. Still, there were moments when doubt crept in. Would she be able to give her child the life they deserved? Could she handle the challenges of raising a baby alone? One chilly afternoon, as rain drizzled outside and painted the streets gray, a man walked into the diner. He stood out immediately. Most of the regulars wore flannel shirts or work boots, but this man was dressed sharply in a tailored suit. His polished shoes clicked softly against the tiled floor as he approached the counter. Maria glanced up from clearing a table and instinctively grabbed her notepad, plastering on her usual polite smile. "Good afternoon," she said brightly, though her voice carried hints of weariness. "What can I get you today?" The man scanned the menu briefly before ordering a turkey sandwich and a cup of tea. There was something different about him, something Maria couldn't quite place. Maybe it was the way he carried himself, exuding confidence yet kindness, or perhaps it was the thoughtful expression in his eyes as he spoke. Either way, she noticed it. After taking his order, she retreated to the kitchen, delivering it with efficiency. When the food was ready, she brought it to his table, setting it down carefully. "Here you go," she said, her tone warm but professional. Instead of dismissing her or focusing on his meal, the man looked up and held her gaze for a moment longer than expected. "Thank you," he said, his voice smooth and calm. Then, surprising her, he added, "You must have your hands full these days." Maria froze for a split second, unsure how to respond. Was he referring to her pregnancy? Or maybe he simply meant the busy lunch rush? Before she could decide, he continued, "I hope things are going well for you." It was such a simple statement, yet it struck a chord deep within Maria. No one had asked her how things were going, not genuinely at least, in what felt like ages. People smiled politely, placed their orders, and left tips, but few took the time to truly acknowledge her existence beyond her role as a waitress. Something about this stranger's words felt sincere, almost comforting. Forcing herself to stay composed, she replied with a nod. "Things are manageable," she said cautiously, choosing her words carefully. "Just taking it one day at a time." The man seemed to sense her hesitation. Instead of pressing further, he offered a small smile and picked up his sandwich. Maria excused herself and moved on to tend to other tables, but she couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was somehow significant. Over the next hour, she stole glances at him whenever she could. He ate slowly, sipping his tea and occasionally jotting notes in a leather-bound notebook. Occasionally, their eyes met across the room, and each time, he gave her a subtle nod or a reassuring smile. When the lunch crowd began to thin out, Maria found herself lingering near his table while pretending to tidy up nearby booths. Part of her wanted to ask him why he seemed so interested in her, but another part feared the answer might disappoint her. Finally, as he finished his meal and reached for his wallet, he motioned for her to come over. Maria hesitated for a moment. Before approaching, her notepad clutched tightly in her hand. "Can I get you anything else?" she asked, trying to sound casual despite the nervous flutter in her chest. "No, thank you," he replied, pulling out a few bills and placing them on the table. Then, after a brief pause, he added, "Actually, yes, can we talk for a minute?" Maria blinked, caught off guard. "Talk? About what?" She glanced around the diner, ensuring none of her co-workers were watching too closely, then nodded. "Sure," she said, her curiosity outweighing her apprehension. He gestured for her to sit, and reluctantly she pulled out a chair. Up close, she noticed details she hadn't before. The faint lines around his eyes that suggested wisdom, the neatly trimmed beard, and the warmth in his expression that made her feel oddly safe. "I'm Daniel," he introduced himself, extending a hand. Maria shook it briefly, still unsure of what to expect. "Maria," she replied softly. Daniel leaned back in his chair, studying her for a moment before speaking. "You're pregnant," he stated matter-of-factly, though not unkindly. Maria stiffened slightly, wondering where this conversation was headed. "Yes," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Due in a couple of months." Daniel nodded, his expression thoughtful. "That's wonderful news," he said, sincerely. "But I imagine it's also challenging, especially working here." Maria swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. Was he judging her? Pitying her? Neither reaction sat well with her pride. "It's not easy," she admitted finally, her tone guarded. "But I manage." Daniel tilted his head slightly, his gaze steady. "You seem like someone carrying more than just plates," he observed gently. The comment hit Maria like a wave, forcing her to blink back tears she hadn't realized were forming. How did he know? How could he possibly understand the weight she carried daily? For a moment, neither of them spoke. The hum of distant conversations and the clatter of dishes filled the silence between them. Then Daniel broke it with a question that sent Maria's mind reeling. "If I could help change your situation even a little, would you let me?" His words hung in the air, heavy with possibility. Maria stared at him, her heart pounding. Help? From a complete stranger? It sounded too good to be true, almost surreal. She opened her mouth to respond but found herself at a loss for words. What was he offering? And why? Sensing her confusion, Daniel elaborated. "I own several businesses," he explained calmly, "and I believe in giving back when I can. You strike me as someone who works hard and deserves better than this." He gestured vaguely around the diner. "I'd like to offer you a position at one of my companies, a desk job with flexible hours, benefits, and maternity leave included." Maria's breath hitched. A desk job? Benefits? Maternity leave? These were luxuries she hadn't dared to dream of. Yet here was this man, offering them to her as casually as if he were handing over a menu. Doubt clouded her thoughts. Why would anyone do this for her? Was this some elaborate prank or scam? But Daniel's demeanor remained sincere, his eyes unwavering. He slid a business card across the table toward her. "Think about it," he urged. "No pressure. Just know that sometimes help comes from unexpected places." With that, he stood, leaving a generous tip on the table before walking out into the rain-soaked afternoon. Maria sat there for several minutes, staring at the business card in her hand. Her mind raced with questions, fears, and a flicker of hope she hadn't felt in months. Could this really be her chance to change her life, And her baby's future for the better? Maria sat at the table long after Daniel had left, the diner's noise fading into a distant hum as her thoughts swirled. The business card in her hand felt heavy, as though it carried more weight than just ink and paper. She turned it over repeatedly, reading the elegant font that spelled out his name, Daniel Harper, CEO of Harper Enterprises. It sounded legitimate enough, but Maria couldn't shake the skepticism gnawing at her mind. Offers like this didn't fall into people's laps, especially not hers. Life had taught her to be cautious, to expect hardship rather than miracles. As the afternoon wore on, Maria returned to her duties, mechanically clearing tables and refilling drinks. Her coworkers noticed her distracted demeanor but said nothing, assuming she was simply tired. But inside, Maria was anything but calm. Every time she glanced at the clock, every time she caught sight of the business card tucked into her apron pocket, her heart raced anew. Could this really be real? Or was she setting herself up for disappointment? That night after her shift ended, Maria walked home under the dim glow of streetlights, replaying the conversation with Daniel over and over in her mind. By the time she reached her apartment, her head throbbed with conflicting emotions. She set the business card on her kitchen counter, staring at it as if waiting for it to reveal some hidden truth. What should she do? Accepting such an offer meant stepping into the unknown, trusting someone she barely knew. Yet rejecting it meant staying stuck in the same unyielding cycle she'd been trapped in for months. Sleep eluded her that night. She lay awake, her mind racing through scenarios both hopeful and fearful. What if Daniel's company wasn't what he claimed? What if this was some elaborate scheme designed to exploit her vulnerability? On the other hand, what if it was genuine? What if this was the opportunity she needed to break free from the relentless grind of waitressing and build a better future for herself and her baby? The uncertainty weighed heavily on her chest, making each breath feel shallow and labored. The next morning, Maria woke groggy and unrested. As she prepared for another day at the diner, she decided she couldn't ignore the question any longer. If she wanted answers, she would have to seek them out herself. After finishing her shift later that evening, she mustered her courage and picked up her phone. With trembling fingers, she dialed the number printed on the business card. Each ring felt like an eternity, stretching her nerves taut. Just as she began to doubt whether anyone would answer, a professional voice greeted her on the other end. "Harper Enterprises," the receptionist said crisply. Maria hesitated, suddenly unsure of what to say. "Hi," she stammered finally. "I'm looking for Daniel Harper. He gave me his card." There was a brief pause before the receptionist replied, "One moment, please." Maria held her breath, half expecting the call to end abruptly, or for someone to tell her the whole thing had been a mistake. But then, Daniel's familiar voice came through the line. "Maria?" he asked, sounding genuinely pleased. "I was wondering if you'd reach out." Relief washed over her, though her guard remained firmly in place. "Mr. Harper," she began, choosing her words carefully. "I appreciate your offer, but I need to ask, you're serious about this, right?" She could almost hear him smiling on the other end. "Absolutely," he assured her. "I wouldn't have offered if I weren't sincere. Why don't we meet tomorrow? You can visit my office, see the workspace, and ask any questions you might have." Maria agreed reluctantly, still wary but unable to resist the pull of curiosity. The following day, she arranged to take a few hours off from the diner and made her way to Harper Enterprises. The building loomed tall and modern against the skyline, its glass facade reflecting the sunlight. For a moment, Maria hesitated outside, feeling out of place in her worn sneakers and second-hand coat. This world seemed so far removed from the one she inhabited daily. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside. The lobby was sleek and polished, filled with the quiet hum of productivity. A receptionist greeted her warmly and directed her to Daniel's office. When she entered, he stood to greet her, offering a firm handshake and a reassuring smile. "Thank you for coming," he said, gesturing for her to sit. Over the next hour, he walked her through the details of the job, a position in the administrative department, handling tasks like data entry and scheduling. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady work with benefits that included health insurance and paid time off. Most importantly, it allowed flexibility for her upcoming maternity leave. Daniel answered all of Maria's questions patiently, showing her around the office and introducing her to a few colleagues. Everything appeared legitimate, from the bustling employees typing away at their desks to the framed certificates on the walls attesting to the company's achievements. Still, Maria couldn't fully let go of her doubts. "Why are you doing this?" she blurted out finally, unable to contain the question burning in her mind. "Why me?" Daniel leaned back in his chair, considering her words. "Because everyone deserves a chance," he said simply. "You work hard, Maria. I saw that the moment I met you. And sometimes life hands us opportunities to make a difference. This is mine." His sincerity struck her deeply, chipping away at the walls of mistrust she'd built around herself. Though she still harbored reservations, she realized she owed it to herself and her unborn child to take this leap of faith. By the end of the meeting, Maria had tentatively accepted the job. Daniel promised to guide her through the transition, ensuring she felt supported every step of the way. As she left the office, clutching paperwork detailing her new role, a strange mix of excitement and anxiety bubbled within her. This was a turning point, a chance to rewrite her story. But the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Adjusting to a new environment, learning unfamiliar skills, and balancing motherhood with work would require everything she had. Her first week at Harper Enterprises was overwhelming. The office buzzed with energy, conversations flowing seamlessly between co-workers who seemed to know exactly what they were doing. Maria, on the other hand, fumbled through basic tasks, her lack of experience glaringly obvious. She often stayed late, practicing until her fingers ached from typing or rereading instructions multiple times to ensure she understood them correctly. Some days, frustration threatened to consume her, and she wondered if she'd made a mistake accepting the offer. But slowly, things began to click. Her colleagues proved to be kind and patient, offering guidance whenever she needed it. One coworker, a cheerful woman named Lisa, took Maria under her wing, teaching her shortcuts and sharing tips that made the workload more manageable. Even Daniel checked in periodically, asking how she was adjusting and encouraging her to speak up if she encountered any issues. Bit by bit, Maria found her footing, growing more confident with each passing day. At home, the changes were equally profound. For the first time in months, Maria didn't come home exhausted from standing all day. She could sit comfortably, rest when needed, and focus on preparing for her baby's arrival. The financial stability provided by her new job allowed her to buy essentials she'd previously put off: a crib, clothes, diapers. Each purchase brought her closer to envisioning the life she wanted for her child. Despite these improvements, Maria remained acutely aware of how fragile her situation still was. She worked diligently, determined not to squander the opportunity Daniel had given her. At the same time, gratitude bloomed within her, softening the edges of her skepticism. She started keeping a journal, jotting down moments of progress and reflection. Writing helped her process her emotions, reminding her of how far she'd come since those sleepless nights filled with doubt. One evening, as she sat in her cozy living room surrounded by baby items, Maria thought about Daniel. She hadn't seen him much lately, aside from occasional check-ins at work, yet his presence lingered in her mind, a reminder of the unexpected kindness that had changed her trajectory. She wondered what motivated him to help strangers like her. Was it purely altruistic, or did he have personal reasons driving his generosity? Whatever the case, she resolved to pay it forward someday, to extend the same compassion to others who might find themselves in desperate need. Weeks turned into months, and Maria settled further into her new routine. Her due date approached rapidly, bringing with it a whirlwind of emotions. Excitement mingled with fear, joy intertwined with nervousness. She attended prenatal classes, decorated the nursery, and read countless parenting books in preparation. Through it all, her job remained a source of stability, grounding her during uncertain times. Knowing she had support, from her colleagues, her employer, and even herself, gave her strength to face whatever lay ahead. Finally, the day arrived. Maria went into labor early one morning, her contractions sharp and rhythmic. She called Daniel to inform him she'd be taking maternity leave sooner than expected. True to his word, he expressed nothing but understanding and encouragement. "Take all the time you need," he told her. "Your health and your baby's health come first." Those words stayed with her as she headed to the hospital, bolstering her resolve. Hours later, Maria held her newborn daughter in her arms for the first time. Tears streamed down her face as she gazed at the tiny miracle nestled against her chest. In that moment, all the struggles, sacrifices, and fears melted away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of love and purpose. She whispered promises to her. Maria's first few weeks back at Harper Enterprises after maternity leave were a whirlwind of emotions. Balancing her new role as a mother with the demands of her job wasn't easy, but she approached it with the same determination that had carried her through every challenge in life. Her daughter Lily was now 3 months old, and Maria cherished every moment she spent with her. Early mornings filled with coos and giggles, late-night feedings under soft lamplight, and stolen glances during work breaks when photos of Lily popped up on her phone screen. Yet returning to work meant leaving Lily in daycare for the first time, a decision that weighed heavily on Maria's heart. Each morning, as she dropped Lily off at the daycare center near her office, Maria wrestled with guilt. Was this what a good mother would do? Should she have stayed home longer? But reality nudged her forward. Bills needed paying, diapers needed buying, and Maria knew deep down that providing stability for Lily was just as important as being physically present, all the time. Still, those initial days were tough. She often found herself staring blankly at her computer screen, her mind drifting to thoughts of Lily. Was she eating enough? Was she comfortable? Did she miss her mom? Her colleagues noticed her preoccupation and offered words of encouragement. Lisa, who had become a close friend, reminded Maria that every working parent went through this phase. "It gets easier," Lisa assured her one afternoon over lunch. "You'll find your rhythm, trust me." Maria appreciated the support, but couldn't help wondering if she'd ever truly feel at peace juggling so many responsibilities. For now, she focused on taking things one day at a time. At work, Maria threw herself into her tasks, determined to prove that Daniel's faith in her hadn't been misplaced. She learned quickly, mastering the administrative duties assigned to her and even volunteering for additional projects when possible. Her diligence didn't go unnoticed. One Friday afternoon, Daniel stopped by her desk unexpectedly. Maria looked up from her computer, startled. "How are you settling back in?" he asked warmly. His question caught her off guard, not because it was intrusive, but because it was genuine. Few people outside of her immediate circle had checked in on her since her return. "I'm doing okay," Maria replied, forcing a smile. "Still adjusting, but I think I'm getting there." Daniel nodded thoughtfully, his gaze lingering on her for a moment longer than necessary. "Don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything," he said firmly. "That's why we're here, to support each other." Maria thanked him, though part of her still struggled to reconcile his kindness with the skepticism she'd harbored when they first met. Even now, months later, she marveled at how drastically her life had changed because of his unexpected offer. As the weeks turned into months, Maria began to settle into a routine. Mornings started with feeding and dressing Lily, followed by a quick commute to the office. Afternoons were spent managing spreadsheets, coordinating schedules, and assisting coworkers with various tasks. By evening, she picked Lily up from daycare, eager to make the most of their time together before bedtime. Though exhausting, this rhythm gave Maria a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in years. For the first time, she could envision a future where she thrived, not just survived. Her confidence grew steadily, both personally and professionally. At work, Maria took initiative, suggesting improvements to streamline processes and offering creative solutions to problems. Her ideas earned praise from her supervisors, and soon she became known as someone reliable and resourceful. Colleagues sought her input during meetings, and managers trusted her judgment on critical projects. It was a far cry from the days when She doubted her ability to adapt to an office environment. Outside of work, Maria embraced her role as a mother with equal fervor. She read parenting books, joined online forums, and attended workshops designed to help single parents navigate challenges. These resources not only equipped her with practical skills but also connected her with others facing similar struggles. Through these interactions, Maria realized she wasn't alone. There were countless women like her, determined, resilient, and fiercely protective of their children. Sharing stories and advice with them strengthened her resolve and reminded her of her own strength. One Saturday afternoon, while shopping for groceries, Maria ran into an old coworker from the diner. The woman recognized her immediately, her eyes widening in surprise. "Maria, is that you?" she exclaimed, pulling her into a hug. They chatted briefly, catching up on each other's lives. When Maria mentioned her new job, the woman shook, her head in disbelief. "I can't believe how much has changed for you," she said admiringly. "You deserve every bit of it." Those words stayed with Maria long after their conversation ended. She realized that sometimes life handed you chances to rewrite your story, not because you were perfect or lucky, but because you refused to give up. Her journey hadn't been easy, but it had taught her invaluable lessons about perseverance, gratitude, and self-worth. And though she still faced obstacles, sleepless nights, moments of doubt, financial tightness, she tackled them with renewed resilience. Lily continued to grow, reaching milestones that filled Maria with pride. Her first laugh, her first tooth, her first attempts at rolling over, all of it seemed miraculous. Watching her daughter develop reinforced Maria's belief that everything she did mattered. Every sacrifice, every late night, every ounce of effort contributed to building a better life for Lily. On particularly tough days, when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her, Maria reminded herself of this truth. She was shaping not just her own future but also Lily's, and that kept her going. Daniel remained a quiet presence in Maria's life, checking in periodically to ensure she was doing well. Though their interactions were infrequent, his support never wavered. During one of their conversations, he encouraged Maria to consider pursuing further education or training opportunities. "You've got potential," he told her earnestly. "Don't let anything hold you back." His words lingered in her mind, sparking a desire to explore new possibilities. Maybe someday, she thought, she could climb higher in her career. Not just for herself, but as an example to Lily of what hard work and ambition could achieve. Inspired by Daniel's suggestion, Maria began researching courses and certifications she could pursue online. Many programs offered flexible schedules, allowing her to study without compromising her work or parenting responsibilities. She enrolled in a business management course, excited yet nervous about the commitment. Studying after hours while caring for a baby wouldn't be easy, but Maria welcomed the challenge. It gave her something to focus on, a goal to strive toward. Her evenings transformed into a delicate balance of multitasking. While Lily napped or played quietly, Maria studied, jotting notes and completing assignments. Some nights, when sleep eluded her due to Lily's restlessness, she used the quiet hours to review materials or watch lectures. Progress was slow but steady. Each completed module brought a sense of accomplishment, fueling her motivation to keep pushing forward. Lisa noticed Maria's dedication and offered to help whenever possible. "You're amazing, you know that," Lisa said one afternoon, watching Maria type furiously between answering emails. "Balancing all this, work, school, motherhood, it's incredible." Maria laughed softly, brushing off the compliment. "I'm just doing what I have to," she replied modestly. But inside she felt a flicker of pride. For once she allowed herself to acknowledge how far she'd come, from a struggling waitress unsure of her next step to a confident professional, carving out a brighter future for herself and her child. The months flew by, marked by small victories and occasional setbacks. Maria celebrated each milestone, no matter how minor it seemed. Passing an exam, receiving positive feedback from her boss, or simply making it through a particularly hectic day without losing her temper, all of it mattered. These moments reminded her that progress wasn't always dramatic. Sometimes it was the quiet accumulation of effort that made the biggest difference. By the end of the year, Maria had completed her certification program, earning accolades from her instructors and peers. She proudly displayed her certificate at home, taping it to the refrigerator alongside Lily's artwork. It symbolized more than just academic achievement. It represented resilience, growth, and the power of believing in oneself. As she stood in her kitchen, gazing at the colorful collage of accomplishments, Maria felt a profound sense of gratitude. Life hadn't been kind to her in many ways, but she had fought back, refusing to let circumstances define her. Looking ahead, Maria dreamed bigger. She envisioned advancing within Harper Enterprises, perhaps even mentoring others who faced challenges similar to hers. She wanted to pay forward the kindness Daniel had shown her, creating a ripple effect of generosity and support. More than anything, she hoped to instill in Lily the values she'd learned along the way: perseverance, compassion, and the courage to chase dreams, no matter how daunting they seemed. Though the road ahead remained uncertain, Maria faced it with unwavering optimism. She knew there would be hurdles, moments of doubt and sacrifices yet to make. But she also knew she possessed the tools to overcome them: determination, resilience. Maria's journey continued to unfold in ways she could never have predicted. With her certification in business management completed, she felt a renewed sense of purpose and confidence. The skills she had acquired weren't just theoretical. They were practical tools that she began applying immediately at Harper Enterprises. Her newfound knowledge allowed her to streamline processes, suggest innovative ideas, and take on more responsibility within her department. What started as an entry-level administrative role was slowly transforming into something much greater: a stepping stone toward leadership. Daniel noticed the change in Maria almost immediately. She no longer hesitated when presenting her ideas during meetings. Instead, she spoke with clarity and conviction, backing up her suggestions with data and well-thought-out strategies. Her colleagues respected her input, and even senior managers sought her opinion on key decisions. One day, after a particularly successful presentation where Maria proposed a cost-saving measure for the company, Daniel approached her with a thoughtful expression. "You've come a long way," he said, his tone filled with admiration. "I'm proud of what you've accomplished." Maria smiled, though modestly. "Thank you," she replied. "But I couldn't have done it without your support, or this opportunity." Daniel shook his head slightly. "Don't underestimate yourself," he countered. "You've worked hard for everything you've achieved. This is all you." His words resonated deeply with Maria, reinforcing her belief that she truly belonged in this world she had once thought was beyond her reach. As months passed, Maria's responsibilities expanded further. She was tasked with leading small teams, on specific projects, giving her a taste of management. At first, the idea intimidated her. Could she handle being in charge? Would others listen to her? But Daniel reassured her, reminding her of her capabilities. "Leadership isn't about having all the answers," he told her one evening after work. "It's about guiding people, listening to them, and helping them succeed. You already do that naturally." Encouraged by his faith in her, Maria embraced the challenge. She learned quickly that leadership required patience, empathy, and the ability to adapt. Some days were smooth, with team members collaborating seamlessly and deadlines met effortlessly. Other days brought conflicts or misunderstandings, forcing Maria to step in and mediate. Through it all, she remained calm and solution-oriented, earning the trust and respect of those around her. Slowly but surely, she proved herself not only as a capable employee, but also as a leader. Meanwhile, Lily continued to grow, filling Maria's life with joy and laughter. Now nearly 2 years old, Lily was a bundle of energy and curiosity. She loved exploring the world around her, asking endless questions, and mimicking her mother's actions. Maria cherished these moments, knowing how fleeting childhood was. Every milestone, Lily's first steps, her first words, her growing independence, felt like a miracle. Yet balancing motherhood with her burgeoning career wasn't without its challenges. There were mornings when Maria woke up exhausted, having spent half the night soothing Lily back to sleep. Other days, unexpected daycare closures forced her to rearrange her schedule last minute. Despite these hurdles, Maria refused to let anything derail her progress. She leaned on her support system, Lisa, who often covered for her during emergencies, and her neighbor Mrs. Thompson, who babysat Lily occasionally. These acts of kindness reminded Maria of the importance of community and reciprocity. In return, she offered help whenever she could, whether it was assisting a coworker with a project or volunteering at local parenting groups. Her involvement in these groups deepened over time, becoming more than just a source of advice and camaraderie. Maria began organizing workshops and events aimed at empowering single parents. Drawing from her own experiences, she shared tips on budgeting, time management, and self-care. She encouraged others to pursue education or training opportunities, emphasizing that growth was possible regardless of circumstances. Her message resonated with many, inspiring them to dream bigger and strive harder. One evening, after hosting a workshop, a young woman approached Maria with tears in her eyes. "Your story gives me hope," she confessed. "I didn't think I could ever get out of the rut I'm in, but hearing how far you've come, it makes me believe I can too." Maria hugged her tightly, feeling a lump form in her throat. It was moments like these that reminded her why she kept sharing her journey. If her struggles and triumphs could inspire even one person to keep going, then every sacrifice had been worth it. Back at work, Maria's reputation continued to grow. She was promoted to assistant manager, a position that came with increased responsibilities and visibility. For the first time, she attended high-level meetings alongside executives, contributing insights that shaped company policies. Her contributions didn't go unnoticed. During one such meeting, Daniel publicly praised her efforts, calling her an asset to the organization. "Maria embodies the values we stand for," he declared. "Hard work, dedication, and a commitment to excellence." The praise made Maria beam with pride, but it also fueled her ambition. She set her sights on climbing even higher within the company, aiming for a managerial role. To achieve this, she knew she needed to continue honing her skills and expanding her network. She joined professional organizations, attended industry conferences, and sought mentorship from seasoned leaders. Each experience broadened her perspective and sharpened her abilities. At home, Maria instilled the same values in Lily. Though still young, Lily absorbed everything around her like a sponge. Maria read books to her about strong women who overcame adversity, teaching her the importance of resilience and kindness. On weekends, they visited parks, museums, and libraries, exposing Lily to new experiences and fostering her curiosity. Maria wanted Lily to grow up believing she could achieve anything she set her mind to, a lesson she herself had learned the hard way. Despite her successes, Maria remained grounded. She understood that life was unpredictable and that setbacks were inevitable. When challenges arose, whether at work or in her personal life, she faced them head-on, drawing strength from her past experiences. She reminded herself daily of how far she'd come, using her journey as motivation to keep pushing forward. One significant challenge came unexpectedly when Harper Enterprises announced plans to expand into new markets. While exciting for the company, the expansion meant restructuring several departments, including Maria's. Rumors swirled about potential layoffs, leaving employees anxious and uncertain. Maria felt the weight of responsibility keenly, knowing her team looked to her for guidance. She held meetings to address their concerns, assuring them that she would advocate for their interests and do everything in her power to protect their positions. When the restructuring plan was finalized, Maria breathed a sigh of relief. Not only had her team retained their jobs, but she had been appointed interim manager of her department. It was a daunting yet exhilarating opportunity. Leading a team through such a pivotal transition tested her skills and resolve, but Maria rose to the occasion. She communicated openly with her team, involving them in decision-making and ensuring everyone felt valued. Under her leadership, the department thrived, exceeding expectations and earning recognition from upper management. Daniel watched Maria's evolution with quiet pride. He saw in her the same determination and grit that had inspired him to offer her a chance all those years ago. One afternoon, as they sat together discussing future goals for the company, he turned to her with a serious expression. "Maria, I want you to consider something," he began. "We're looking for someone to oversee operations for our new branch. Someone who understands our values and can lead with integrity. I think you'd be perfect for the role." Maria stared at him, stunned. Overseeing a branch was a massive leap from her current position. It meant relocating temporarily, managing larger teams, and handling complex logistics. Could she handle it? More importantly, could she leave Lily behind, even for a short period? Doubts flooded her mind, but so did excitement. This was the kind of opportunity she had dreamed of, a chance to prove herself on an even bigger stage. After much deliberation and countless conversations with Lisa and Mrs. Thompson, who promised to care for Lily while she was away, Maria accepted the offer. She threw herself into preparing for the role, studying market trends, developing strategies, and building relationships with key stakeholders. As the departure date approached, she felt a mix of nerves and anticipation. She knew this assignment would test her limits, but she also knew it was another step toward achieving her dreams. On the day she left for the new branch, Maria hugged Lily tightly, promising to call every night and return as soon as possible. Tears pricked her eyes as she boarded the plane, but she pushed them aside, focusing instead on the task ahead. Over the next few months, she poured her heart and soul into the project, navigating challenges and celebrating victories. Her hard work paid off. The branch launched successfully, exceeding initial projections and earning accolades from clients and executives alike. When Maria finally returned home, she was greeted with open arms, not just by Lily, who squealed with delight upon seeing her mom, but also by her colleagues, who celebrated her success. The experience had changed her, making her more confident and resilient. She realized she was capable. Maria's success at the new branch marked a turning point, not just in her career, but in how she viewed herself and her potential. The experience had pushed her out of her comfort zone, forcing her to adapt, innovate, and lead under pressure. When she returned home, she carried with her not only the accolades from her colleagues, but also a newfound sense of confidence. She realized that the challenges she had faced were stepping stones, each one leading her closer to becoming the person she was always meant to be. Back at Harper Enterprises headquarters, Maria resumed her role with renewed energy and vision. Her performance during the branch launch had earned her widespread recognition within the company. Senior executives began seeking her input on strategic decisions, and Daniel often referred to her as one of our brightest assets. Yet despite the praise, Maria remained humble. She knew that every achievement was built on the foundation of hard work, resilience, and the support of those around her. She made it a point to acknowledge her team's contributions publicly, ensuring they felt valued and appreciated. At home, Lily continued to grow into a spirited and curious toddler. Now 3 years old, she was full of questions about everything, from why the sky was blue to what her mom did at work. Maria loved these conversations, using them as opportunities to teach Lily about curiosity, learning, and kindness. On weekends, they visited parks, libraries, and community events, exposing Lily to diverse experiences. Maria wanted her daughter to see the world as a place filled with possibilities, where dreams could become reality with effort and determination. As Maria settled back into her routine, she began thinking about her next steps. Leading the branch had ignited a spark within her, a desire to take on even greater responsibilities. She confided in Lisa one afternoon over coffee. "I feel like I'm capable of more," Maria admitted, stirring her cup thoughtfully. "But I don't know if I'm ready for another big leap yet." Lisa smiled knowingly. "You've already proven you can handle anything thrown your way," she said encouragingly. "Trust yourself." Inspired by Lisa's words, Maria approached Daniel with an idea. She proposed developing a mentorship program within Harper Enterprises aimed at supporting employees who came from disadvantaged backgrounds. Drawing from her own journey, she believed such a program could make a meaningful impact, offering guidance and resources to help others succeed. To her delight, Daniel loved the concept. "This is exactly the kind of initiative we need," he said enthusiastically. "Let's make it happen." Over the following months, Maria dedicated herself to creating the mentorship program. She collaborated with HR, conducted surveys to understand employee needs, and reached out to external organizations for partnerships. The process was challenging, requiring long hours and meticulous planning. But Maria relished every moment. It felt like she was giving back, paying forward the kindness and opportunities that had transformed her life. The program launched successfully, pairing experienced professionals with mentees eager to learn and grow. Maria took on several mentees herself, sharing her story openly and offering practical advice. She emphasized the importance of perseverance, self-belief, and seeking support when needed. Many participants credited the program with helping them overcome obstacles and achieve their goals. Watching others succeed because of her efforts filled Maria with immense satisfaction. For the first time, she truly understood the ripple effect of generosity and empowerment. Outside of work, Maria became increasingly involved in her community. She volunteered at local shelters, organized fundraising events for single-parent families, and spoke at schools about overcoming adversity. Her story resonated with people from all walks of life, inspiring them to pursue their dreams despite challenges. One evening, after delivering a speech at a high school career fair, a student approached her timidly. "Thank you for sharing your story," the teenager said, clutching a notebook. "It makes me believe I can do something great too, even if things seem impossible right now." Maria hugged the girl warmly, feeling a lump rise in her throat. These moments reminded her why she kept sharing her journey. If her struggles and triumphs could light a spark of hope in someone else, then every sacrifice had been worth it. She vowed to continue advocating for others, knowing firsthand how transformative support and encouragement could be. Meanwhile, Lily blossomed into a bright and compassionate child. She adored spending time with her mom, whether it was baking cookies together, reading bedtime stories, or playing pretend games. Maria cherished these moments, savoring the laughter and love that filled their home. Yet, she also recognized the importance of teaching Lily independence and responsibility. She encouraged her to clean up her toys, share with others, and express gratitude for the little things in life. One day, while shopping for groceries, Maria ran into Mrs. Thompson, her neighbor and trusted babysitter. The elderly woman greeted her warmly, complimenting how much Lily had grown. "She's such a sweet girl," Mrs. Thompson remarked fondly. "Just like her mother." Maria smiled, touched by the compliment. "Thank you for everything you've done for us," she said sincerely. "We couldn't have made it this far without you." Mrs. Thompson waved off the gratitude, insisting she had simply been happy to help. But Maria knew better. People like Mrs. Thompson, and Lisa and Daniel, had played crucial roles in her journey, providing the support system she desperately needed. As the year drew to a close, Maria reflected on how much had changed since that rainy afternoon when Daniel walked into the diner. Back then, she had been overwhelmed by uncertainty, struggling to envision a brighter future. Now she stood confidently at the helm of her life, steering it toward purpose and fulfillment. Her career flourished, her relationship with Lily deepened, and her impact on others grew exponentially. Yet, she remained grounded, aware that life's blessings were never guaranteed. During the holiday season, Harper Enterprises hosted its annual gala, a glamorous event celebrating the company's achievements. Maria attended alongside her colleagues, dressed elegantly in a navy blue gown borrowed from Lisa. As she mingled with co-workers and executives, she marveled at how different this world felt compared to the diner where she used to work. Yet, she didn't let herself forget her roots. They shaped her, reminding her of the resilience and humility that defined her character. Midway through the evening, Daniel took the stage to deliver his speech. After thanking everyone for their contributions, he turned to Maria, gesturing for her to join him. Surprised, Maria hesitated before making her way to the front. "Tonight I want to recognize someone whose journey embodies the spirit of Harper Enterprises," Daniel announced, his voice filled with pride. "Maria has not only excelled in her role, but has also inspired countless others through her mentorship and advocacy. She reminds us that true success isn't measured by titles or accomplishments. It's measured by the lives we touch along the way. The room erupted in applause as Maria stood beside Daniel, tears welling up in her eyes. She hadn't expected such recognition, nor had she sought it. But hearing Daniel's words reinforced her belief in the power of kindness and perseverance. As she looked out at the crowd, she saw faces smiling back at her, colleagues, friends, and mentors who had supported her throughout her journey. In that moment, she felt profoundly grateful. After the gala, Maria returned home, still buzzing with emotion. Lily was asleep, her tiny chest rising and falling rhythmically. Maria sat beside her bed, watching her breathe, and whispered softly, "You're going to change the world someday, sweetheart, just like you've already changed mine." The words brought her comfort, grounding her amidst the whirlwind of emotions. In the weeks that followed, Maria began contemplating her long-term goals. While she loved her role at Harper Enterprises, she wondered if there was more she could do to create lasting change. Perhaps starting her own nonprofit organization, focused on empowering single mothers, or writing a book to share her story with a wider audience. The possibilities excited her, fueling her ambition and creativity. She discussed her ideas with Daniel, who listened intently before offering his perspective. "Whatever path you choose, remember that your strength lies in your authenticity," he advised. "Stay true to who you are, and you'll inspire others simply by being yourself." His words stayed with her, guiding her as she explored new avenues. By spring, Maria had drafted a proposal for a nonprofit aimed at providing resources and mentorship to single parents. She envisioned workshops, scholarships, and networking opportunities designed to uplift individuals facing similar challenges to those she had overcome. With Daniel's blessing, she pitched the idea to Harper Enterprises' leadership team, hoping to secure funding and support. To her delight, they embraced the concept wholeheartedly, pledging significant backing for the initiative. As plans for the nonprofit took shape, Maria found herself reflecting on the interconnectedness of life. Every decision, every act of kindness, every challenge overcome contributed to a larger tapestry of experiences. Her journey, from waitress to leader, from struggling single mother to advocate for change, was a testament to the power of resilience and community. And though the road may have far more, Maria's nonprofit organization, which she named New Beginnings, officially launched in the summer. The months leading up to it had been a whirlwind of planning, fundraising, and collaboration. She poured her heart into every detail, ensuring the program would provide meaningful support for single parents like herself. From financial literacy workshops to career counseling sessions, New Beginnings aimed to empower individuals who often felt invisible in society. Maria wanted participants to know they weren't alone, that someone understood their struggles because she had walked the same path. The launch event was held at a community center, decorated with vibrant banners and tables filled with informational pamphlets. Local leaders, business owners, and media outlets attended, lending visibility and credibility to the initiative. As Maria stood at the podium, addressing the crowd, she felt a mix of nerves and excitement. Her voice trembled slightly as she began speaking, but soon her passion took over. "This is more than just a program," she said earnestly. "It's a promise that no matter where you start, there's always hope for a better tomorrow." Her words resonated deeply with those in attendance. Many attendees approached her afterward, sharing their stories and expressing gratitude for her efforts. One woman, a young mother juggling 2 jobs while raising 3 children, hugged Maria tightly. "You've given me something I haven't had in years, hope," she whispered. Tears welled up in Maria's eyes as she realized the magnitude of what she had created. This wasn't just about helping people, it was about creating a ripple effect of change, one life at a time. As New Beginnings gained momentum, Maria balanced her responsibilities between Harper Enterprises and the nonprofit. It wasn't easy, but she thrived on the challenge. Mornings were spent managing her team at work, afternoons dedicated to mentoring participants in the program, and evenings reserved for Lily. Despite the long hours, Maria found joy in seeing others succeed. Participants began securing stable jobs, pursuing education, and regaining confidence in themselves. Success stories poured in, each one fueling Maria's determination to expand the program further. Lily, now 4 years old, watched her mom's busy schedule with wide-eyed curiosity. She loved accompanying Maria to events, proudly introducing herself as the boss's daughter. Though Maria worried sometimes about whether she spent enough quality time with Lily, her daughter never complained. Instead, she soaked up every moment, learning from Maria's example. One evening, as they sat together coloring pictures, Lily looked up and asked, "Mommy, why do you help so many people?" Maria paused, considering how to explain in simple terms. "Because everyone deserves a chance to be happy," she replied softly. "And when we help others, we make the world a little brighter." Daniel continued to play a supportive role in Maria's journey, offering guidance whenever needed. He admired her ability to juggle multiple responsibilities without losing sight of her values. During one of their conversations, he suggested exploring partnerships with other organizations to amplify New Beginnings' impact. Inspired by his idea, Maria reached out to local businesses, schools, and government agencies, forming alliances that strengthened the program's reach. These collaborations not only provided additional resources but also helped spread awareness about the challenges faced by single-parent families. Despite her successes, Maria faced moments of doubt. Running a nonprofit required navigating complex logistics, securing funding, and managing expectations. There were days when setbacks left her feeling overwhelmed, but she reminded herself of the resilience she had cultivated throughout her life. Every obstacle was an opportunity to learn and grow. When funds ran low or participants struggled to meet milestones, Maria leaned on her network of supporters, Lisa, Mrs. Thompson, Daniel, and countless others who believed in her mission. Their encouragement kept her going, even when the road seemed uncertain. One particularly challenging week, Maria received news that threatened to derail her progress. A major donor unexpectedly withdrew their funding, leaving a significant gap in the budget. Panic set in as she reviewed the numbers, wondering how she could keep the program afloat. For a brief moment, she considered giving up, fearing she had bitten off more than she could chew. But then she remembered the faces of the participants, their smiles, their tears, their gratitude, and knew she couldn't let them down. She rallied her team, brainstorming creative solutions to bridge the financial shortfall. Fundraisers were organized, grant applications submitted, and personal appeals made to loyal supporters. Slowly but surely, they managed to stabilize the situation. Through these trials, Maria discovered an inner strength she hadn't fully recognized before. Leadership wasn't just about making decisions. It was about inspiring others to believe in a shared vision. Her transparency and vulnerability earned her the trust and loyalty of her team, who worked tirelessly alongside her. Together, they proved that collective effort could overcome even the toughest challenges. As New Beginnings grew, so did Maria's influence. She was invited to speak at conferences, share her story on podcasts, and contribute articles to magazines focused on social entrepreneurship. At first, public speaking terrified her, but she quickly learned to embrace it as another platform, to advocate for change. Each appearance brought new connections and opportunities, expanding the reach of her message. People from across the country reached out, asking how they could replicate her model in their own communities. Maria, gladly, shared her insights, knowing that collaboration would amplify the impact. Back at home, Maria ensured Lily remained her top priority. They maintained cherished routines, Saturday morning pancake breakfasts, afternoon walks in the park, and bedtime stories filled with imagination and laughter. Maria involved Lily in small ways with New Beginnings, letting her draw pictures for participants or hand out welcome packets at events. These experiences taught Lily the importance of kindness and generosity, values Maria hoped to instill in her daughter for life. By fall, New Beginnings had transformed dozens of lives, earning recognition as a beacon of hope for single-parent families. Local newspapers featured stories about its success, highlighting testimonials from participants whose lives had improved dramatically. One article captured Maria's essence perfectly. Maria isn't just changing individual lives, she's reshaping communities. Her unwavering belief in second chances inspires everyone around her. The acknowledgement brought Maria immense pride, but it also humbled her. She knew none of this would have been possible without the support of those who had believed in her, from Daniel's initial offer to the countless strangers who became allies along the way. Gratitude became a cornerstone of her daily life, reminding her to celebrate victories big and small. Around this time, Maria decided to take a bold step, writing a book about her journey. She envisioned it as both a memoir and a guidebook, offering practical advice and emotional support to readers facing similar challenges. Writing proved challenging, requiring her to revisit painful memories and confront moments of self-doubt. But it also allowed her to reflect on how far she had come. Each chapter reinforced her belief in the power of resilience and community. By winter, she had completed the manuscript, tentatively titled From Plates to Purpose. Submitting the book for publication marked another milestone in Maria's life. While waiting for feedback, she threw herself into expanding new beginnings, dreaming of reaching even more families. She envisioned satellite programs in neighboring cities, online resources accessible to anyone with an internet connection, and partnerships with national organizations. Her ambition knew no bounds, fueled by the knowledge that her work mattered. One snowy December evening, as Maria tucked Lily into bed, she paused to watch her daughter sleep. Peaceful and content, Lily represented everything Maria had fought for: a future filled with love, stability, and endless possibilities. Kissing her forehead gently, Maria whispered, "Thank you for being my greatest inspiration." The words carried layers of meaning, encompassing not only Lily but also the journey that had shaped them both. The following spring, Maria's book hit shelves, receiving rave reviews from critics and readers alike. It became a bestseller, sparking conversations about poverty, resilience, and systemic barriers faced by single parents. Book tours and speaking engagements followed, taking Maria to cities across the country. Everywhere she went, she met people eager to share their stories and thank her for giving voice to their struggles. These interactions deepened her commitment to advocacy, reinforcing the idea that storytelling could drive real change. Amidst the whirlwind of success, Maria remained grounded. She credited her achievements to the lessons she had learned along the way: the importance of perseverance, the value of community, and the transformative power of kindness. Each day she woke up grateful for the opportunities she had been given and determined to pay them forward. By summer, New Beginnings had expanded significantly, with satellite programs operating in 3 additional cities. Maria traveled frequently, overseeing operations and meeting participants. Yet, no matter where she went, she carried Lily's photo in her wallet, a reminder of why she did what she did. Her daughter was her anchor, grounding her amidst the chaos and reminding her of the love that fueled her mission. Looking back on her journey, Maria marveled at Maria's journey had reached heights she once thought impossible. Yet, she remained acutely aware that success wasn't a destination, it was an ongoing process. As New Beginnings continued to grow, touching lives across multiple cities, Maria found herself reflecting on the broader implications of her work. She realized that while individual stories were powerful, systemic change required collective action. With this in mind, she began advocating for policy reforms aimed at supporting single-parent families. This new chapter brought fresh challenges and opportunities, pushing her further out of her comfort zone. Her advocacy efforts led her to collaborate with lawmakers, nonprofit organizations, and grassroots movements. Together, they drafted proposals addressing affordable childcare, parental leave policies, and access to education and job training programs. Maria testified before legislative committees, sharing personal anecdotes alongside data-driven arguments. Her testimony resonated deeply, humanizing statistics and underscoring the urgent need for reform. Though progress was slow, each small victory fueled her determination. Lily, now 5 years old, watched her mother's activism with wide-eyed admiration. She often mimicked Maria during playtime, pretending to give speeches or lead meetings. One evening, as they sat together reading a book about trailblazing women, Lily looked up and asked, "Mommy, are you famous?" Maria chuckled softly, brushing a strand of hair from her daughter's face. "Not really," she replied. "But I'm trying to make things better for people who need help. Does that count?" Lily nodded solemnly. "Yes. You're my hero." The words warmed Maria's heart, reminding her of why she poured so much energy into her work. Every late night spent drafting proposals, every early morning meeting, every moment away from Lily, it all mattered because it contributed to creating a brighter future not just for her daughter, but for countless others like her. Still, Maria made it a point to prioritize quality time with Lily. They baked cookies together on weekends, visited museums, and took long walks through the park. These moments grounded Maria, reminding her that life's greatest joys often came from simple pleasures. As Maria's influence expanded, she became a sought-after speaker and thought leader. Universities invited her to deliver keynote addresses, corporations sought her advice on diversity and inclusion initiatives, and media outlets featured her insights on social issues. Through these platforms, Maria emphasized the importance of empathy, collaboration, and perseverance. She encouraged audiences to look beyond their own experiences and consider how they could contribute to building a more equitable society. Her message inspired many to take action, whether by volunteering, donating, or simply being kinder to those around them. Despite her growing prominence, Maria never lost sight of her roots. She frequently returned to the diner where she used to work, dropping off supplies or treating former co-workers to meals. The visits served as a reminder of how far she had come, and how interconnected her journey was with the people who had supported her along the way. On one such visit, she ran into Sarah, a former co-worker who now managed the diner. "You've done amazing things, Maria," Sarah said warmly. "We're all so proud of you." Maria hugged her tightly, overwhelmed by gratitude. "I couldn't have done any of it without all of you," she replied sincerely. New beginnings continued to thrive under Maria's leadership. The program's success attracted national attention, leading to partnerships with larger organizations and increased funding. Maria seized these opportunities to expand its reach, launching online courses, mentorship networks, and resource hubs accessible to anyone in need. She also introduced initiatives focused on mental health support, recognizing the emotional toll faced by many single parents. Participants praised the holistic approach, crediting the program with helping them regain confidence and stability. One particularly impactful initiative involved pairing participants with mentors who had overcome similar challenges. These relationships proved transformative, offering guidance, encouragement, and practical advice. Many participants described their mentors as lifelines during difficult times. Maria took pride in fostering these connections, knowing firsthand how powerful mentorship could be. She often joined mentoring sessions, listening intently as participants shared their struggles and triumphs. Their resilience reminded her of her own journey, reinforcing her belief in the strength of the human spirit. Amidst her professional achievements, Maria cherished quiet moments with Lily. They had developed a nightly ritual of discussing their days over dinner, sharing highs and lows openly. Sometimes Lily would ask questions about Maria's work, curious about the people she helped and the changes she hoped to create. Maria answered patiently, breaking down complex ideas into terms her daughter could understand. "Why do some people need extra help?" Lily asked one evening. Maria smiled gently. "Because sometimes life is tough and everyone deserves someone to believe in them." These conversations planted seeds of compassion in Lily, teaching her the value of empathy and kindness. Maria hoped to instill in her daughter the same values that had guided her own life: resilience, integrity, and a commitment to making the world a better place. She envisioned Lily growing into a confident, compassionate adult who would carry forward the legacy of service and advocacy. By the end of the year, Maria's efforts culminated in a major milestone: the passage of a statewide bill improving parental leave policies for single parents. Standing beside lawmakers as they signed the legislation into law, Maria felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Years of tireless advocacy had finally borne fruit, paving the way for meaningful change. The victory was bittersweet, however, as it underscored how much work still lay ahead. Maria knew that systemic inequities wouldn't disappear overnight, but she remained hopeful that incremental progress could lead to lasting transformation. In recognition of her contributions, Maria received several awards, including a humanitarian honor from a prestigious organization. Accepting the accolades humbly, she dedicated them to everyone who had supported her journey. "This isn't just my story," she said during one acceptance speech. "It belongs to every person who has ever dared to dream of a better tomorrow. Together, we can rewrite narratives and redefine possibilities." As her career reached new heights, Maria made a conscious effort to give back to the community that had shaped her. She established scholarships for single parents pursuing higher education, funded art programs for children in underserved neighborhoods, and volunteered regularly at local shelters. Each act of generosity reinforced her belief in the power of paying it forward. She often told participants in New Beginnings, when you succeed, don't forget to lift others up. That's how we build a stronger, kinder world. Years passed and Maria's impact rippled outward, inspiring generations. Lily grew into a bright, compassionate teenager, deeply influenced by her mother's example. She excelled academically, participated in volunteer projects, and dreamed of becoming a teacher who empowered students to chase their dreams. Watching her daughter flourish filled Maria with immense pride, knowing she had laid a foundation of love, resilience, and purpose. Looking back on her journey, Maria marveled at the twists and turns that had brought her here. From struggling waitress to advocate for change, she had defied odds and rewritten her story, one courageous step at a time. Life hadn't been easy, but it had taught her invaluable lessons about perseverance, gratitude, and the transformative power of kindness. And though challenges undoubtedly lay ahead, Maria faced them with unwavering optimism. On a crisp autumn afternoon, Maria stood outside the diner where it all began. The familiar bell jingled softly as customers came and went, oblivious to the significance of the moment. Maria smiled, feeling a deep sense of closure. She had started this journey carrying plates. Now, she carried purpose. Turning away, she walked toward her car, ready to embrace whatever the future held. Her story wasn't over. It was merely beginning anew, with endless possibilities stretching before her like an open road.